So anyway, so talking about hair, it seems to me like the nation is basically divided into two categories at the moment. So the people who look like this, who have not had their hair done yet, or the people who look like this, maybe not quite, but the people who have had their hair done, the people that are very proud of their hair. So hopefully I'll be in that category this afternoon, although my goodness, if my hair could ever look like that, I would be absolutely delighted. It never has. It never has. But let's just go back to the first image because we are talking about hair today. My obsession with hair has spilled over into my Elevenses this morning. And we'll start with this one. A bit of a bad hair day, I'm going to say, for Rembrandt. Yeah, the frizzy look going on, it's not ideal, is it? It's really not ideal. But having said that, this is quite an extraordinary portrait. This is the first of his self-portraits when he was just about 22 years old. He hadn't moved to Amsterdam yet. He was still living in Leiden. And I'm saying it's extraordinary because 22 years old, he's done a self-portrait. It's incredibly accomplished. But what really hits me about this is that he's done a self-portrait and you can hardly see his face. Like it's a portrait that you can't see him. It's kind of bonkers and it's daring and it's fantastic. You know, you have to look at this for a couple of seconds really before you see his eyes peering out. So, hats off, or should we say hats on? I just made that up. That wasn't in the script. To Rembrandt, who has painted himself aged 22 in such an extraordinary way. But I also just want to show you a bit of a close-up. I mean, look at the way that he's painted around the ear. You know, this really loose brushwork. It looks so modern. But then also, can you see? So he's painted in the hair, and then what he's done, he has turned his brush around, I think, and while the paint is still wet, he's kind of used the end of his brush to scrape away the paint, or to scratch into the paint to make these little squiggles, which, if we go back to the main painting, like produce highlights in his hair. So really inventive, absolutely brilliant. So this was created about 1628 when Rembrandt was just 22. Okay, so that's the bad hair day. So that's not the one that we want to be going for, most certainly. So, you know, you might have in lockdown have done what I did and thought, you know, my goodness, you know, what can I do? Can I don't know, can I wear a wig? That didn't really work for me. Can I wear a hairpiece? That didn't really work for me either. Or I didn't really try it. You know, can I decorate my hair? I don't know, somehow all this just seemed to be too much effort and it didn't end up to be a real option. And so I didn't do any of these things, and had I done any of these things, I might have ended up looking somewhat more like Marie Antoinette with her big old updo. So yes, if you were having an interesting hair day, or if you know, if you basically had the time to have your hair done and the wherewithal to sit for hours and you had a maid or two and a hairdresser and so on to bring you all the bits and to clip everything in place and to get a hairdo like this is what you would have done in the late 18th century. So quite ambitious, I think, for yourself in lockdown. Not a good idea. So Marie Antoinette is portrayed in this image here, and I'm going to say she's probably the most famous of the updo wearers. really. It's the fashion that did creep over to Britain from France, and was definitely prevalent in the court of Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, as you can see here. So I'm going to show you the full image of her. So this is Marie Antoinette in her court outfit, so everything was big. I mean, I kind of guess you had to have the high hair to go with the incredibly wide dress, the ones that you had to turn sideways to go through the door if you were wearing them. So yeah, a lot of work went into these hairstyles. Padding, horsehair padding, that was a thing. Frames. So I mean, it's kind of, I just think it's a shame that they weren't making YouTube videos back in the late 18th century, because it would have been fascinating to see actually how they really created these things. So, you know, like wooden frames and structures, horsehair padding, and they would take the hair and sort of curl it over these frames and over this padding, and then it would all be set in place using, this is delightful, using a healthy dollop of lard. So lard, like hairspray, obviously. And then the whole thing was dusted, especially in France, not so much in Britain, but especially in France, it was dusted with lead powder. So excellent. So now if you're a fashionable lady in the late 18th century, you've got hair that not only stinks of lard, but it's also highly toxic with the lead powder. Just fun, you know. It's like living a dream, isn't it? Plus the fact that these hairstyles took hours upon hours to create. So obviously you're not just going to take it down at night before you go to bed and wash your hair. You know, these had to last. So these were going to last days, weeks, I don't know for how long. So must have been hugely uncomfortable. How did they sleep? I don't know. Badly, I would imagine. And also pretty unhygienic. You know, you can't wash your hair for ages. There was such a thing as a head scratcher for the lice. Lovely. And possibly even women used to wear cages over their head at night. And you know why they wore cages over their head at night? Yes, to protect their hair. Not over their head. I don't think... Sorry, I just said that, and I just got this image of Hannibal Lecter. That's not what I was thinking at all. More like a sort of bird cage over their hair, not over their head, to protect their hair, but also to stop mice getting in and other rodents getting into their head. Oh, I mean, that is kind of going out there for beauty, isn't it? It's not something I would necessarily recommend, but that was the fashion. So that's, you know, I'm going to say that's hair that is try very hard. You know, that's try very hard to look good hair. Definitely, when it works, it works. There's going to be some people that can pull it off. There's going to be some people that can't pull it off. You know, like if Alexa Chung or something was around in the late 18th century, she would have sported a fantastic voluminous updo, I'm fairly sure, but me not so much. Now we come on to the pièce de la résistance, the perfect hair. Here we go, perfect hair. And this lady actually really did have perfect hair. She's probably, in fact, a relation by marriage to Marie Antoinette, because this is Empress Elizabeth of Austria, who was married to Franz Joseph or Maximilian, I know, one of the Habsburgs, anyway, Habsburg emperors in the 19th century. We've moved on 100 years. And her pride and joy was her hair. So this is the hair that we, I'm sure, all wished that we could have. When she was 15, her hair actually fell to her knees, and she was very well known for it. Later on in life, her hair just fell out, which is a bit of a shame. No, I don't know whether it actually fell out, but she was really paranoid about it falling out, which it probably did fall out a little bit, because she very unfortunately had quite a lot of issues, and one of them was that she had an eating disorder, so probably wasn't gonna be too healthy for her. But apparently what she would do is she would, in later life, she would have her hair washed in brandy and egg white. Or maybe it was the egg white first and then the brandy, I don't know. Like, would you use the egg white as a conditioner after the brandy, or would you need to use the brandy to actually get rid of the egg white in your hair? Anyway, either way, interesting combination. Egg white and brandy, so the hair was washed in that. And then, brushed, I don't know, wet or dry, I don't know. But when it was being brushed, she would have a whole swathe of silk, light-coloured silk, underneath her, and at the end of the brushing session she would pick up all the strands of hair, and she would count them, and if there were too many she felt that had fallen out, then it wasn't a good day. Let's put it that way. So yeah, this is a portrait of Empress Elizabeth. Very beautiful. I mean, she is absolutely stunning. And this is by Winterhalter. Sorry. It is. Where is this one now? Oh, I think now it's in the Met. Is this one in the Met? No, it's not. Oh, okay, so no, this is in a private collection. This is in the private collection of, I'm going to read this, collection of prints of Turn and Taxis, like Taxis. Prints of Turn and Taxis, okay. Yes, a very celebrated portrait of a very beautiful lady, but she was completely tortured. So just a few other bits about poor old Empress Elizabeth. Really unhappy marriage, didn't want to marry into the Habsburg dynasty, wanted a quiet life, and in fact she wasn't supposed to marry into the dynasty. It was her sister who was the suitor, but Emperor France took a fancy to her and married her instead, and was a complete philanderer. So she then probably contracted syphilis, and so then her teeth went really bad because she had mercury treatments. So she was very paranoid about that. As I said, she was paranoid about her hair. She at one point did have a complete nervous breakdown, but it was still obsessed with her looks. I think it was kind of like the only thing that she could control, and she was always very beautiful, and so had this eating disorder, was completely paranoid about her hair. Apparently she would go to bed with hot towels around her waist because she had a teeny tiny 20-inch waist. I don't know how that helped, but anyway, she would wrap slabs of raw veal in silk and put them on her face as like a face mask. Presumably she didn't go to bed like that, but presumably she didn't go out like that either, so that must, and she had a very strange diet as well. She lived on meat juice, is what I read. And now I didn't elaborate. Like, what does meat juice mean? Does that mean like a broth, or does that mean gravy or something? I don't know. It sounds disgusting anyway. And cow's milk, fresh cow's milk, also for me, not my thing. And egg whites mixed with salt. Egg whites mixed with sugar and put in the oven, yes please. Egg whites mixed with salt, no, thank you very much. And then she had also a very violent end because she was assassinated. Not even targeted. It's quite horrific actually. She was walking by Lake Geneva and this mad lunatic anarchist assassin, had it in his head that he wanted to murder somebody from the royal family. And she was the first one that he saw, and so he killed her at the age of 60. No, he wasn't 60, she was 60. So really horrible, but really beautiful hair. Ooh, poor thing. But I think we should end with a close-up of her hair, because I think it's absolutely stunning. I mean, like, look at that. Look at the stars in it. Look at the shine. The shine and the stars and the thickness and that braiding. How does she do that? Well, obviously, she didn't do that. How did someone do that? I was trying to emulate it badly. So, yes, that's Empress Elizabeth of Austria. So she's the one with the good hair. Marie Antoinette is the one with the difficult hair. Although I'm going to just end with this because this is actually how she preferred to wear her hair. So this is a slightly later portrait of Marie Antoinette by Vigée Lebrun. So Elizabeth Louise Vigée Lebrun, female artist from the 18th century. And she painted around about 30 portraits of Marie Antoinette, obviously her favourite court painter, and Marie Antoinette and her, they kind of became friends, to be honest. There's a famous story of Vigée Lebrun being heavily pregnant while she's painting the Queen, and she drops a paintbrush, and Marie Antoinette, just without thinking, goes and picks it up for her, which was completely against royal protocol. So that kind of showed how much Marie Antoinette thought of her. But this painting, I should have mentioned it before perhaps, but this painting was a little bit later than Marie Antoinette in her court dress, which was the first painting. So this one. This is the first painting that Vigée Lebrun did of Marie Antoinette. So this is 1778. And this one is 1783, somewhere around there. And so 5 years down the line, so they've become friends. And this was exhibited at the Paris Salon. So Vigée Lebrun entered it into the Paris Salon, where it was admired, but it was also, it caused a complete outrage because Marie Antoinette just looked like she's in her undergarments. It looks like a chemise. The dress just wasn't fancy enough. The hair wasn't fancy enough. It looked like she wasn't dressed properly. And so it had to be taken down. I think it was only up for a day or so, and it had to be removed. And Vigée Lebrun actually created another portrait within a matter of days to replace this one. So, but you can see here she's got the downdo, which is quite a lot like mine, like frizz going on. Which apparently Marie Antoinette, although she's very famous for the updo, I don't think I'm using the correct terminology, but it doesn't matter. She preferred to have it down like that, as indeed did, let's just show you, Vigée Lebrun. So there you go, very similar hairstyles. So apparently preferred by Marie Antoinette and definitely preferred by Vigée Lebrun, just much more relaxed and natural and, just, not trying so hard, basically, isn't it? Not trying so hard. Okay, on that note, I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to put comments back on. And I am going to be, hello Holly, hello, oh hello Vivian, hello, I can't see other people. It doesn't tell me, it's really annoying. Or you can probably see what I can see. So yes, I am going to the hairdressers this afternoon. I'm so excited to get this crazy. I'm going to show you. Actually, it is quite out of control. I won't be able to get it back. You're in the gym watching me, Vivian. Oh, great. So look, it's definitely more a Rembrandt, isn't it? Oh, okay. I'm gonna head off. Have a great day, everyone. I will post an after picture with my hair. I'm very excited. So there we go. Hairdos throughout the centuries, Rembrandt, Marie Antoinette, and the beautiful Empress Elizabeth of Austria. Enjoy!